sir. Recording.
I again welcome all the participants, all the officers for this conference. Please, officers, please be attentive. Uh, before, before we start with the panel discussion, I'll request our guest, Mr. Marco Texiria, to present a small presentation on international convention, international cooperation, and Indian collaboration on to control the drugs. So I'll invite Sir to please speak on this topic.
वहीं से
Good morning to all. Just to check, yes, I'm audible. Thank you very much. Can I have the PowerPoint on, please? The slides. So what I wanted to do, ladies and gentlemen, and obviously with a special word for the distinguished panelists of the next section, I just want to plant a few ideas on what is our role, what is the international legal framework regarding controlled substances, and how this links with the rest of the discussions of the next sections. UNODC is part of the United Nations Secretariat. Our specific role is also to be the custodian and the guardians of international conventions. And obviously, this gives us the standard agreed behaviors, limitations on what regards international conventions. So in the meantime, I could ask colleagues to put the PowerPoint up, the others, our presentation from UNODC, but somehow to facilitate that. So I have a few slides. Obviously, the slides and the PowerPoint is available to be shared with you. But I want to give a little bit some ideas from our side. I will not go through all the details that are in the slides, but at least the main highlights that I think we should potentially reflect on. I think from the Director Generals of NCB in the morning, it was clear that it is the major illicit market is drugs. It is a market that is not hermetic in itself, so has hyperlinks with different parts of the other illicit markets, and is in expanding not only on the volumes that actually generates in terms of profits, but also the type of substances and the geographical areas. It's easy to understand if you look at the type of seizures that are being actually made on the region. That is obviously the region being more and more targeted by new type of illicit substances, and also, for instance, cocaine. 15 years ago, the number of seizures of cocaine were residual on this region, and more there's positive hits and interdictions and seizures of cocaine. That is obviously can be a symbol of expanding markets, expanding different new routes, and obviously new dynamics on narco trafficking. So I will go back to what you'll see in the slide is the beginning. Anyone can give an idea what is the commonalities among all of those elements that are there? The two opium wars, first opium commission, first international opium conference, opium conventions 1912, etc., etc. There are two aspects which are common in all of those items. Anyone wants to share any thoughts what is common? What links all of those events or facts? Opium, so let's put it like drugs, generically, but the opium, one element, correct? And the second element is? International cooperation is also very good, but even more solid than that, which is also true. It is not common that every international commitment comes from a war, instability, and it was actually something very bellic that generated the need for the countries, and I would say us being the same table. So conflict and drugs are always interconnected. there is no country that is actually a source country, a transit country, solid transit country, or a destination country that doesn't have a social, economic, and impact on drugs. It's very simple that all the studies, all persons with drug abuse disorders have less productivity, less job retention, less economical status, and more as their consumption of drugs continues in time. So, going back to what I wanted to share with you, first, conflict, wars, and obviously drugs are interconnected by nature, and this is part of what generated the need to create international agreements and conventions. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Very good. So, as just obviously most of you know, there are three main drug control conventions: 61, 71, and 88. They have been basically the result of the international commitments on aspects regarding drugs and controlled substances. And there's also something common in the three of them, several commonalities. Anyone want to share what they have in common? Besides being an international convention, besides obviously the three of them are part of United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime as the custodian of the conventions. Anything else that you think that are in common in the three? Sorry, I didn't. Narcotic drugs. So all of them focus on narcotic drugs. The first one was more in the classic narcotic drugs. And then we look at the last one, and psychotropic substance. There is a need to conceptualize cooperation beside the classic drugs. They are natural-based and more synthetic-based production of drugs. There's also the evolution of the drug markets and the drugs available in the market. Anything else that you want to think that is common about the three? Do you need plant-based drugs for medical purposes? Don't we need, the DG mentioned an example, tramadol is a painkiller that is used and based, obviously, in opioid-based substances. It's a synthetic opioid, which is also used for medical purposes as a painkiller. So drugs need to be available for medical investigation research. They need to be available for, obviously, health treatment and investigation. So all of the three conventions recognize the need to have availability of drugs for medical purposes and, obviously, legal purposes. So they are mutually reinforcing the three drug conventions. They cover different thematics with some commonalities. Anyone wants to tell me or us or share what it is a convention? What is a convention?
Which is binding upon the signatories.
Okay, so the signatories have a common willingness to be actually mutually accountable for what they agree upon. So we agreed with the Central Academy for Police Training to be here. So I'm bounded for the commitment that Giant actually prepared with the director and assistant directors. Correct? Anything else? Binding? Let's see if we capture something of what could be some of the definitions. This is actually ipsis verbis the definition, behaving a certain way of behaving between states, correct, polite, agreed upon, also based in the society expectations of what the state could allow to do. But I want to mention on a second point, which is an official agreement between countries or group of people. That's what I want to highlight, is the conventions are not, once you ratify a convention, once the different states agree to the prerogatives and obligations and obviously rights associated with the convention, it is not, I would say, unless you derogate to be part of the convention, but we are mutually accountable to it. So I just want to highlight this. This creates an expectation. When you request and you send the country a mutual legal assistance request or information, or you introduce illicit drug that should be catalogued as interdicted for commercialization, you are actually expecting a reply based on the commitments that you have in terms of convention. Another thing that I want also to highlight, which is the transnational nature. I don't want to go into too much details, but I just want to highlight a few things. All the analysis of business model of narco trafficking, or narco business are pointing for a few elements. One of them is the multinationality of its components. It's very rare that a specific group, a specific nationality, controls since production to market distribution. It's quite, almost impossible and very, very rare. It's very rare that a narco business of average to high complexity, it is only with one nationality. It's very, very, very rare. I maybe only know one, and not the most powerful criminal group that works in a narco business. What I want to highlight in here is more and more our conscious actions at country level need to be done, and DDG mentioned this in the morning, with a projection of interdicting, investigating, and going up on the change of the model that we are trying to interdict. So a little bit to reflect upon and leave this also as a point of reflection from our side. I will pass this also by question of synthesis, but I want to highlight a few things, which is, let me see, next slide. I think is this slide, yes. Which, no, not this one, this one. So if you look at...
Sir, may I request,
Sure.
Less of time, sir, if you can wind up in a brief.
Yes, thank you. So what I want to highlight in here is obviously the element of the money laundering aspects. 88 Convention introduced the element of having, besides the substance-focused interactions, the interactions with following the profits of narco business and how the narco business is profiting from the revenues they generate. So obviously in 88 Convention focus on that element. I'll move on a little bit in the 88 a few elements, and in here I just want to highlight the international cooperation element. Also can be based on the provisions of the conventions and can be seen as a tool for supporting law enforcement interdictions and improve efficiency of law enforcement. I will stop here. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now here we goes with our regular session. Ms. Monica Batra, Deputy Director NCB, she is the moderator of the next session, and this panelist comprises of DIG Aniket Singh from Indian Coastal Guard, Commandant Sandeep Safai, Indian Coastal Guard, and Sri Anil Ghate, IRS General Director from NCB Mumbai. Ma'am, I request you to please take over this panel for the next discussion. Over to you.
Right. Thank you so much. And I'll try to be brief along with my other panelists also. For the convenience of all, I'll be using Hindi and English. So that's how we'll go about. We'll try to keep it brief. So the topic which has been given to me is of of raising of the anti-narcotics task force and its capacity building. Just as DG sir had elaborated in his speech, that 97% of the cases are being booked by state police. And there is as such no uniformity in the state infrastructure or administration as far as narcotics is concerned. So this is not a new system of having an anti-narcotics task force, but it has been put in place now in a more formal way. I'll be talking about it. But before that, just for the convenience and knowledge of everyone, I'll just briefly touch on what is the National Drug Control Mechanism. So Narcotics Control Bureau under the Ministry of Home Affairs is the national nodal agency, and it has its other departments also supporting it. That is the CBN, the Chief Controller of Factories, and Customs and DRI. In addition, definitely the state police, state excise, and border guarding forces have also been given power as far as narcotics is concerned. The two main pillars, in addition to the supply side, which the enforcement takes care of, and the two other main pillars are the demand side and the harm side, which is being taken care of by Ministry of Social Justice, the demand side, and harm side is being taken care of by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. This is in brief the function of or the role of NCB. So we basically are into capacity building and training of the drug law enforcement officers, enforcement intelligence, policy making and coordination, and we do a lot of international coordination, as Mr. Marco had pointed out. So NCB is the nodal authority for that. Coming to where the ANTF is coming from, the NCOD mechanism has been put in place. It is a system which was in 2016 में शुरू हुआ था, लेकिन recently मार्च 2022 में इसको एक 4-tier mechanism बना दिया गया है. इसमें the highest level is the apex, which is headed by the Home Secretary. State level के लिए it is headed by the Chief Secretary of the state, and this mechanism is active and functional in the districts level also, which is headed by the district commissioner. So as just I was mentioning about the NCOD, in one of the third Apex NCOD meeting, which was held in 12/21, anti-narcotics task force was taken as a formal decision to be established in each state, and it is to be headed by the ADG or IG level officer, and of course it has to be manned by sufficient and capable manpower. This was mainly, as I had told you, that the administration in different states was having different ways of dealing with it. So the idea is to bring about uniformity in the ANTF. Basically, the ANTF would be acting as the nodal point for all the Government of India related matters. And in the future, there is also a talk of ANTF cell or thana in each district. Talking about the role and responsibility of what the anti-narcotics task force would be doing, basically, हर स्टेट में एक एनकॉड सेक्रेटरिएट को एस्टैब्लिश करना है, और वो ही जो सेक्रेटरिएट होगा that would be taking care of the district NCOD meetings also. The idea is, again, the whole emphasis of the state should be on such regular NCOD meetings where these narcotic matters at the policy and operational levels are taken up. Of course, the NCOD Secretariat would also function as compliance of all decisions taken at the apex level. And the ANTF would be the center for all inter-agency coordination. जैसे कि हमने पहली स्लाइड में देखा कि बहुत सारी एजेंसीज इन्वॉल्व होती हैं, चाहे वो सीजर से हो या किसी भी और मैटर पे अवेयरनेस है या डिमांड रिडक्शन है या रिहैबिलिटेशन है, उन सब का एक जो इंटर एजेंसी कोऑर्डिनेशन है वो ANTF, हर स्टेट का ANTF उसको कोऑर्डिनेट करेगा. There's a scheme of assistance to state and UT scheme. ये एक फाइनेंशियल स्कीम है जिसमें कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से फंड्स दिए जाते हैं फॉर वेरियस एक्टिविटीज़ एंड इक्विपमेंट्स एंड अदर अपग्रेडेशन ऑफ फॉरेंसिक फैसिलिटीज़. इसके लिए भी नोडल ऑफिसर जो है वो ANTF का हेड ही होगा. Capacity building, of course, is a very important part, and it is very important again that we have real-time intelligence sharing so that maximum impact is there, and the inter-agency coordination and real-time sharing is the emphasis on. As far as ANTF के capacity building की बात है, which is the main topic which I have to speak. This thing already. Also, I'll be talking about what we have taken up in recent past. The most important data which goes to state is the satellite imagery of illicit cultivation. चाहे वो OPM हो या गांजा हो, cannabis हो, illicit cultivation की satellite images share की जाती हैं states के साथ, और state उसको latitude और longitude के साथ उनको destruction कर सकता है. I have already talked about the scheme. DD kits, that is the drug detection kits, are also provided to the states. And now there are other studies being taken up for having more mobile drug detection mechanism as far as drug interdiction is concerned. Of course, there is a good reward mechanism also. इसमें ये लिखा for the not only for the ANTF but whoever provides an information and whoever is involved in it, there is a good reward mechanism also. We are also taking very regular training of drug law enforcement agencies. Just as the nature of trafficking is changing, we have to accordingly build our skill set. So for digital forensics and dark web, and whatever trends are happening, the latest trends, that is also shared with the states, which can be used by. These are the few new initiatives after the NCOD mechanism has taken up. So NCOD portal, जो कि मैं बात कर रही थी NCOD की, NCOD portal is one big thing I'll be showing in a few slides, which acts as a knowledge management system. This is one-stop destination for all kind of queries as far as narcotics is concerned. NCB has also built up a national narcotics canine pool. The third point, which the director CAPT were also talking about, is the core training modules. These modules have been devised, and there are 5 sets, which I'll be just covering up. Nidan is a database for narco offenders. इसमें जो habitual offenders हैं उनके बारे में data मिल सकता है. हर state अपने state का data निकाल के और जो narcotic offending habitual हैं उनको देखा जा सकता है, monitor किया जा सकता है. In addition to that, there's a lot of emphasis of the Home Minister on building the forensic capabilities of state, in which जो मैं assistance to state की बात कर रही थी scheme की, that help comes as really handy. This is the NCOD portal which I was talking about. It is a one-stop portal. It covers training, capacity building, narco offender data, legal international agreements. Even it has inputs about the drugs, and also it shares the best practices of the state. So I would request that if there is any best practice, as I was just talking to my batchmate also from Punjab, they have done some really good work in harmful effects of drugs. So I would request that it should be shared on NCOD portal so that it can be of benefit to all the access is to all states. This is Nidan, narco offender database. This is a central database. Again, as I have already explained, that this is based on the prison's data. Proclaimed offenders का data है इसमें, name, photograph, fingerprint, judicial record. यहाँ तक कि इसमें networks का भी हमें पता चल सकता है कि कौन किसके साथ network है, पिछले कितने criminals से किससे मिला, कौन उनके lawyers हैं, सब data इसमें available है. I would request that please go and have a look at this Nidan portal. Canine pool, as I've already talked about, NCB has made a humble start with 20 canines at 10 locations, and of course the states can also use it. I've just mentioned the places where this canine facility is there, but very soon we are launching the second phase, which will have 60 canines, and it would be definitely having a better presence. This was the training module I was talking about. So in consultation, in coordination with DOR, MOSJ, NASIN, BPRND, and CAPT is running these courses. So we have developed 5 major core modules. These are very helpful. DSP levels ke bhi hain, SPPs or PP level ke bhi hain. We have also got a very interesting module of 1 day, which involves the civil society and civil organizations also, because the idea is कि सिर्फ enforcement से नहीं, हर जगह से चौतरफा प्रहार से ही हो सकता है, इसीलिए सिविल सोसाइटी को भी इन्वॉल्व करने की बात है. As I was talking about the capacity building already, we have the legal compendium also, which can be, it has 132 landmark judgments as far as narcotics is concerned, and the states can pretty well use it. I would like to talk little about e-pledge, but a little later. This is the e-pledge thing which NCB is supporting. It is on MyGov. It's a very small pledge, and the idea is to persuade everyone to take this e-pledge and come and join the war against drugs. So as of till now, 30 lakhs people have already taken this pledge. These are some of the very nice initiatives which are in place and which would be of very much help to the states also. Manas is निषेध सूचना केंद्र जो कि एक 24/7 टॉल फ्री हेल्पलाइन हम बना रहे हैं. इट वुड बी इन प्लेस वेरी सून. इन एडिशन टू दैट, हर स्टेट में तो नहीं, बट हाँ, डेफिनेटली वी आर स्ट्रेंथनिंग आवर NCB प्रेजेंस इन द स्टेट्स. देयर हैज़ बीन अ लॉट ऑफ एम्फेसिस ऑन कि इलिसिट कल्टिवेशन से हटा के alternate development पे emphasis दिया जाए. There is an interministerial committee also which is studying this aspect and are coming up with this with their findings. In addition to that, we all know the problem of dual-use precursors and port security and maritime trafficking, which my colleague would be talking about, are also equally important in addition to darknet and cryptocurrency. So these are some of the things which we have been emphasizing upon and would be in place. So thank you so much from my side. And as we talk, I would like to place the data in front of all of you that 28 states and 8 union territories have already placed ANTFs in their states, and which is a sizable figure. And we hope to work in coordination with all the states. Thank you so much. I would ask my colleague to take it forward from here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. There is a presentation on the given topic. Yeah, from here only. I would request my colleague to deliver the presentation.
Sir, it's my submission, sir, to be brief on the topic, sir, because already we are in sort of time. So this session we have to cover in a constant manner, sir.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here to present before you a very contemporary and germane subject, increasing trends of drug trafficking via international maritime routes and cross-border trafficking of drugs and threat to national security. I'll be providing a presentation under the following subjects. I'll be getting through introduction, global trend, international maritime routes, challenges and the way forward. Aligning with the national objectives, the Indian Coast Guard is continued evolve in a unique way to become a maritime force and registers positive omnipresence. The DNA is the foundational element of all the individuals, and therefore Coast Guard is also has got one's genetics and characteristics. As you can all see, multiple helix system, not non-belligerent, non-escalation, and non-aggressive. Though Indian Coast Guard has had a transition aplenty, but the DNA remains the same. The overarching umbrella legislation in consonance with UNCLOS and Maritime Acts have made us a unique and multi-braided service. The service derives its strength from the sensibly crafted Coast Guard Act 1978, which provides extensive powers to take measures as deemed fit to protect the national interest in the maritime zones of India. Hence, the genesis, preamble, the charter, character, and motto, Vayam Rakshama, highlights the equilibrium required to ensure maritime safety and security in order to achieve ocean governance. Come down to ocean governance. Maritime regulations are transnational, as already briefed. They have a complex characteristics due to overlapping jurisdiction. The principles of ocean governance is for utilizing the global commons and to establish peace and good order at sea essentially demands an international framework integrated with regional and national construct and national maritime law, thereby forming the three pillars, namely international laws, domestic laws, and policies. Hence, for effective ocean governance, a suitable maritime agency like the Indian Coast Guard with peacekeeping and law enforcing construct is the most preferred and visible choice. Moving on to the nature of global drug consumption trend in the world, in the age of speed of information and speed of verification gets outstripped. The COVID has taught us to cut through the nose and focus on the targets, a lesson we must heed to protect our societies and the impact of drugs. There's an important regional and national difference also as to which stimulant is most used. The reasons of these are aligning the complexity of interplay in the drug market dynamics. For example, high availability of certain stimulants at relatively low prices correlate with elevated use. For example, cocaine in Latin America, and increased production can also trigger increased use, like methamphetamine in South Africa. In 2020, an estimated of 284 million people worldwide aged 15 to 64, majority of who were men, had used a drug within the last 12 months. This corresponds to approximately 1 in every 18 people in that age group. And represent now it is 26% increase in when compared to 2010, with an estimated number of people who use drugs was 226 million. Showing you the drug addiction data in India, there has been a considerable drop in alcohol and cannabis, but there is an increase in usage of opioids. During the first conference on drug law enforcement at CAPT Bhopal, Sri Satyanarayan Pradhan IPS Director General NCB brought out that large number of heroin drugs are being transported through maritime routes of the country, especially from the western coast in containers. Further, India being a chemical and pharmaceutical hub for the use of psychotropic substances, especially amphetamine and meth, have increased post-COVID-19. Since the US withdrawal and Taliban taking over in August 21, Afghanistan has been suffering from worsened humanitarian crisis. The research study by UNODC in 2022 indicates that opium crop is the most profitable, with cultivation up to 1/3 of the country, and the price is soaring. Afghanistan being the epicenter of drug cultivation, the preferred air and maritime drug route used by traffickers is as flashed on the screen. We are wedged between the drug crescent and the triangle, making India the most vulnerable to transit, trafficking, and consumption of opium derivatives. I am proud to inform this August gathering that zero tolerance approach adopted by Indian Coast Guard against transnational drug trafficking has resulted in back-to-back seizures of narcotics in various intelligence-based operations. As you can see, the red dots indicate heroin seizures, while green and purple indicate synthetic drugs and charas. The black and blue dots indicate the seizure of drugs by our neighborhoods based on Coast Guard inputs. The details of narcotics seized by Indian Coast Guard has been shown on the foil and reflects our crusade against the international drug trafficking syndicates in the recent times. Out of 7,957 crores seized by Indian Coast Guard in the last 2.5 years, approximately 1,447 crores, that is 18% of the narcotics, has been seized by Indian Coast Guard off Gujarat coast. Narcotics seized by the neighboring countries based on ICG input. As a result of inputs, the Sri Lankan Navy and the Maldivian Coast Guard were able to seize substantial quantity of drugs as shown on the file. In the recent times, there has been a visible change in the modus operandi of drug traffickers in using the sea route. Earlier, the narcotics smuggling by those operating ex-Makran coast used to take a shorter route and relatively close to our EZ. But now, there's and thereafter receiver boats from one of the littoral neighbors used to transit through 8-degree channel just south of Minicoy, while our northwest sector transshipment is generally take place beyond the IMBL. However, post the seizures by ICG, particularly in the last 2 years, the transshipment location has further shifted west of Lakshadweep Island to far south, a southward shift of approximately 900 nautical miles, that is 1800 kilometers, and relatively close to Diego Garcia. Shipping containers have emerged a major concern with transshipments of large quantity in one go, seizure of 3,000 kgs of drugs in Mundra port in the recent case, and other seizures have indicated a seriousness in the problems we are facing.
Now, I'll just intervene. Now, see what has happened. Now, these drug paddlers at sea, Now they have seen that we are chasing them and catching them close to EEZ. So now they have gone further to west, much out of our EEZ, 200 to 300 nautical miles, or in some sporadic cases we have also seen even 500 to 600 nautical miles west of our coast, and all the way down to Diego Garcia also. But as has been brought out also, in isolation, no one country can, check this menace. So, having international cooperation, MOUs, and such other mechanisms in place, it helps us out, because even if you have 1,000 ships or even if you have 500 ships, it is not going to matter, because ultimately there will be high seas which are in nobody's jurisdiction, and somebody has to go there and somebody has to catch it so that it doesn't come onto land. The idea is to identify them, recognize them, and catch them as far as possible from reaching our land. So.
The future threat which is envisaged in the movement of drugs is the potential use of narco submarines. The cost of this narco submarine is not very high, and they are capable of carrying the huge load. Instances of these subs have been seen in the Atlantic Ocean for drug transfer between Latin America with Europe and between North Africa and Europe. Although no such narco submarine has been reported in our waters, but with the evolving technology, we may not remain oblivious to such emerging challenges. The modus operandi of the smuggler are use of unregistered fishing boats with no valid documents. Further, the use of satellite phone and code words when communicating, transshipment to fishing boats out of the exclusive economic zone of the receiver country, use of vessels which are due for shipbreaking, and concealment of drugs in the cavities like hull, tanks, and railing of ships. These are the various common phenomena of the drug traffickers. Constant evolving strategy used by the drug peddlers are spoofing of location and identity, use of multiple handsets and SIMs, use of new routes and new trends. Successful anti-narcotic operation demands credible response based on maritime surveillance, tech int, human int, quick response, coordination at national and regional level and including international level. Further, vessels diverting from their usual trade route should be red marked and flag monitored. The core challenges that you would agree for a maritime service in general and coastal security in particular is complicated maritime environment. As we all know, that situational awareness is the first and fundamental requirement of any security. We have achieved this progress post 2611 towards realizing a holistic surface picture, especially done on our coast through ICC chain of static sensors. By enhanced daily average deployment of 45 to 50 ships and 10 to 12 aircrafts, however, challenges remain with respect to smaller boats and targets which are very difficult to see. The identification problem is not limited to the fishing boats or the merchant ships. It also includes thousands of containers shifting every day into our ports. It is here that technology plays an important role, and which is a major role to keep our coast more secure. Verification of antecedents of the crew and the cargo they are carrying poses a huge challenge, not only owing to the whole volume of such traffic, but due to lack of resources and integrated technology for verifying their genuineness.
In maritime arena, actually the peculiarity of the medium is what makes it different from land-based operation or land-based actions what we take, particularly because of the dynamism of the medium. And as we have seen, you leave anything out there in ocean, it is a guarantee that it will land up to someplace in some time. As we have seen, drifting boats and all, drifting boats all the way from coast of Africa, they have landed onto our coast undetected, unattended at times. So that is the most peculiar situation. It is also a problem of plenty, as we have seen in the last, sir, if you can go to the last image of Indian coastline, if you see. This is the sort of shipping traffic, and this is only what we can detect. The dots, the blue dots, what you are seeing, these are the contacts which we can detect. And this is, I mean, take my word, this is on a lean day. Otherwise, it is otherwise chock-a-block. And in this, the contacts which are undetected or which are not, painting through their trackers, not giving out information, they are separate. They are not being detected here. So technology, yes, it requires, it has to play a major role. Technology assimilation, its analysis, this is something which we need to work upon, which we need to do, and coordination between agencies based on those actionable intelligence. Next.
Present-day challenges contributing to the rise in smuggling drugs in Arabian Sea are vast, unregulated oceans, porous coastlines, dense merchant and fishing traffic existing in the west coast of India. Coming down to the legal framework, let us know now. I think it's already covered. We'll skip. Jurisdiction in maritime scenarios is determined by the nationality of the offender as well as the location of the offence in accordance with the principles of UNCLOS, like the extraterritoriality principle under Section 4 of IPC, which applies to all the Indian national and Indian flags vessel in the maritime zones of India or even at high sea. Principle of effect-based jurisdiction in accordance with Article 27 and Article 33 of UNCLOS can be exercised in case illegal import or export of drugs by foreign national or foreign vessels if the offence has been committed within the contiguous zone of India, which is up to 24 miles from the baseline. Similarly, as per Article 17 of UN Drug Convention 1988, if the offence is illicit traffic is committed by a foreign national or anybody on board a foreign ship within the EEZ or high sea, jurisdiction can be exercised with the consent of the flag state or if bilateral treaty is there between both the countries. Destination of drugs being smuggled is also very important. If the drugs are destined to India and the offence is committed by a foreign nationals or foreign vessel within the EEZ, exercising jurisdiction in such cases is possible. However, proving the motive of intended destination in the court of law becomes extremely challenging. Despite various successful drug interdictions at sea, we have faced legal impediments to visit, board and search. In short, the foreign vessels beyond our territorial waters, since the NDPS Act is applicable only to territorial waters, only ICG holds VBSS powers up to the EZ. As per the experience case gained through ICG operations, we have seen that illicit drug trafficking operations are mainly beyond 200 to 300 nautical miles of EZ. Since there is no jurisdiction and no bilateral agreement exists, it is difficult for ICG to stop and board flag vessels suspected to be carrying out narcotic drugs. Coming down to the way ahead, as brought out earlier, requirement exists to extend the applicability of NDPS Act up to EZ, bilateral information sharing mechanism, effective monitoring system of fishing boats, monitoring of landing centers, improving human int in neighboring littoral countries, leveraging technology that is artificial intelligence and big data enabled int and analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, the task laid down in front of us is daunting, and we need to perform cohesively to counter the ever-changing modus operandi of the drug traffickers to remain one step ahead. Our challenge is to succeed each and every time, whereas the trafficker has to succeed only once. The key word here is coordination, and the successful operation of Indian Coast Guard is a testimony of our coordinated efforts and cohesiveness with ATS, NCB, and other law enforcement agencies as we will continue to march ahead towards achieving our common goal of drug-free India. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Vayan Rakshama.
PPT, please.
Thought is about NCB.
This button. First one. First one. Good afternoon. Let me start. I know I have less time. I will try to rush through the slides. The topic, it's increasing trend of drug trafficking via international maritime routes, cross-border trafficking of drugs, and threat to national security. It's a big topic. So let me begin with. It's not working. Yeah. So the first slide, we'll see drug trafficking threat to national security. Why is it so? First is there is high drug addiction. There is a huge demand in India itself for the drugs. It is around 10 crores at present. International and interstate movement of drugs because of high profits. Let me tell you, drug trafficking at the international level is a borderless crime. It's purely on economic terms. Use of trade channels, land and maritime routes, different routes used for smuggling. Rise in synthetic drugs, NPS, that is new psychoactive substances. Diversion of pharma drugs, chemicals from legal channels. Let me tell you, India is, various UN reports has mentioned that India is the only country where legal means are used for illegal exports. Just like NCB has busted many factories who are manufacturing these drugs. On the face value, they seems harmless. That is, I will name it tramadol, but actually they find their way to various banned organizations, international terrorist organizations through legal channels by means of illegal export. Recently, we have busted some factories. Next is India digital. India is increasing, so the digital footprint, the darknet, it is on the rise. Use of new technology channels, that is drones, couriers, especially across land borders, that is causing a lot of drug trade across the border. A lot of foreign gangs are working in India. Foreign involvement is there, especially metro areas are affected by that. Then narcotics are clearly visible. It will come into next slide. So let me begin with why India is affected by such a great extent. If you look at the geographical situation of India, it is sandwiched between Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle. These two are highly disturbed areas. We know both of them are marked by disturbed political system who supports the drug trafficking. So from Golden Crescent, we have the influx of heroin as well as methamphetamine. And for Golden Triangle, again, heroin and methamphetamine, but methamphetamine is on the rise. NCB has busted many cases where the flow of methamphetamine is from Myanmar to Moreh, that is Nagaland, from Moreh to Kolkata, and from Kolkata to Chennai. And from Chennai, it was stored and distributed to various foreign countries, including and some cities of India also. This is the map showing this trafficking of heroin and meth. If you see the figures, it is on rise from 19 to 2021. There is a tremendous rise in the trafficking. These are some of the figures in which NCB has done the seizure with the assistance or help of Indian Navy and Indian Coast Guard. If you see the trend, if you look at the dates, from 2017 there was one operation, from 20 to 22 we have 6 operations in which huge quantity of drugs along with various ammunitions. In one operation we got 5 AK-47s and 1,000 live rounds, all are Pakistan made, along with Thuria handsets. So this is a huge trend. This is all through maritime trafficking. And I will take to one case study. Among that seizure, there was one case which NCB has investigated properly. We have reached to the end. There was a seizure on the 26th of November 2020. There is a seizure at Tuticorin port with the help of Indian Coast Guard. We have seized 95 kgs of heroin, 18 kgs of meth, 5 pistols, and 10 magazines, in which we found that the 2 Sri Lankan drug lords were sitting tight in Chennai with fake Indian documents. They were running a legal clothes shop there. So we apprehended them after a lot of planning and undercover operations, and we have found that they were handling this drug trade on behalf of various gangs sitting in Sri Lankan jail. So it's very interesting combinations. The actual handler was sitting in Sri Lankan jail. His persons, his cronies were sitting in India. They were handling the on phone, the pickup and drop. And the main person supplier is sitting in Iran, somewhere in Golden Crescent, Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. And his money is going to Dubai. So this was the complicated structure of that. So we successfully nabbed it, and during the interrogation we found many gangs working from Sri Lankan jails. We worked on that, and in one operation we found that this money was supposed to be used by sleeper cell of LTT to revive the LTT. This was the most disturbing trend. The further investigation we have handed to NIA. Next is the land route. We all know our western frontier, western border is affected by this drug trafficking of land route with Pakistan especially. JK, we have witnessed 2000% surge in heroin-related drug seizures from 17 to 22. In Punjab, between 17 and 22, 57,295 cases were registered, in which 75,240 persons were arrested, 2595 kg of heroin, 2862 opium, and 217 tons of poppy husk, and 9 crore pills were seized. These are medicine pills. Again, there is a on 19/9 of 22, there is a seizure at Arena, 61 kg of heroin along with 2 pistols, 3 magazines, 100 cartridge, and 2 persons were arrested. They were involved in Delhi blast and associated with Babbar Khalsa International Group, which is a banned organization, terrorist organizations. And it is found that along this border, land border, there is increasing use of drones along with tunnels. पहले tunnel से हो रहा था, अभी drone से हो रहा है. And these drones are very high power. It is difficult to put them down with even firing a weapon or to have a mechanism. So this is a general analysis of drones dropping incident. Drone is a hexacopter, locally assembled components. It's very difficult. It's very easy to assemble it. Dropping is done approximately 100 meters above the ground. It is GPS navigated, so there is no need to any handler sitting near or in the vicinity of that. Payload capacity is around 6 to 7 kgs. Average speed is 60 km/h. This is the most difficult thing for shooting it down. Drone dropping between its night hours and can cover a distance of 14 kilometers. So this is the safest way of dropping drugs along with arms in the western frontier. So these are the composite cases, which are a real worry for all of us, because not only drugs, it is coming with ammunitions and FICN. These are the figures, they are on increasing. Composite seizures of arms, ammunition and currency reported from border states. 2022, 68 instances has been observed. India-Pakistan borders remains most sensitive. 28 out of 60 instances reported in JK, Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat. Yeah, extent of narco-terrorism in India. In April 22, there are some certain case studies I have purposely pointed out. In April 22, charge sheet with 9 individuals with 3 Pakistani handlers, 6 operatives from JK were filed in Baramulla. The case concerned seizure of vast sums of arms, ammunition and narcotics. Arrested persons were part of a network and sold drugs and ammunition from across the border, that is Pakistan. In May 22, 3 people, including a woman, were arrested in Kupwara for possessing 2 IEDs and 7 kg of heroin. These items were being transferred to other regions in Kashmir Valley for aiding and abetting terrorism. So this she was supposed to sell it and use it for funding the local groups. In June 22, JK police busted a LET model which was disseminating funds procured from the sale of drugs to their jihadis. Drones were also used to deliver opium across border. This is a known fact. So the map is not clearly visible. There is some problem on the screen, but it's a map of India basically. It giving the illicit cultivation of ganja and opium. So this is the third problem. This is not cross-border, but it's within internal issue of India, internal security. It's illicit cultivation and left-wing extremists or armed groups. Illicit opium cultivation is found in Jharkhand. It is again left-wing extremist prone area. Illicit cannabis cultivation, AOB area, Andhra Orissa border, again LW prone. Hill-based armed groups collect taxes as protection money from illicit poppy cultivation in Manipur. Reports about collection of tax by local militant groups from illicit poppy cultivation in Tirap, Changlang and Longding. This is again a border area. Militant cadres collect taxes from ganja growers of Arunachal Pradesh also. This is again, let me tell you, there is one operation called by Operation Parivartan by Andhra Police. It's a very good operation in which NCB also assisted Andhra Police, in which within a span of 3 months, they have destroyed around 10,000 acres of illegal ganja cultivation in AOB area, Andhra Orissa border. That was around, they have destroyed 2 lakh kgs of ganja. And it is increasingly found that it has a 100% Naxal connection. So whenever they had to launch a group for destruction, first they have to launch the greyhounds, their best of commandos, they have to sanitize the area, then the teams used to go there. So it was a very good operation. After that operation, this AOB area basically was supposed, it support supply network for not only India, but entire South Asia. So after this operation, the large of the supply network has been cut down. So this is a very good achievement by Andhra Police. Next is diversion of psychotropic substances from illicit sources. If you see the figures, they are on rise from 19 to 21, from 264 kgs to 1,658 kgs. Majorly diverted psychotropic substances are tramadol, ketamine, alprazolam, diazepam, most diverted psychotropic substances. And the states affected are Delhi, Punjab, MP, Rajasthan and Maharashtra. These are non-traditional routes for national security and drug trafficking. They are especially after the pandemic and lockdown conditions. This courier and darknet, the drug delivered through these 2 means has increased. So these parcel couriers, they have multiple channels, multiple courier companies and foreign post offices. Fake documents are used. No one-to-one contact. Even the consumer don't know who is the peddler. So it's the easiest way to receive the drug and do the payment. And there are a lot of foreign elements involved into it. Darknet markets, not only drugs, weapons, everything is available. All illegal things are available on darknet. It's showing an upward trend. But definitely NCB is doing on its own, cracking the case as well as enhancing the capacity of various ANTF in this case. Now this is important. Apart from this physical threat of dropping drugs and weapons, this is now this has emerged as a new threat. It is financial threat, because all these transactions, including this big 500 kgs or 600 kgs to 5 gram or 10 gram, everything is done through either cryptocurrency or hawala. So this is all unaccounted, non-channelized money, which has a serious financial implications on the financial security of our country. So what is the solution? So NCB, I will tell you from NCB perspective, we have international coordinations. India is member of UNODC and INCB, that is International NCB. Also part of drug-related forums for regional groupings, that is BIMSTEC, BRICS, SCO, etc. Signed 27 bilateral agreements, 15 MOUs with other countries on security cooperation in drug matters. Control delivery, which has DGNCB has the power for that. With other foreign countries, total 40 CDs control deliveries were executed so far. Drug liaison officers of 6 countries, that is USA, UK, Australia, Canada, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, are stationed in India, and NCB is cooperating with them. With this groom picture, there is a lot of way forward, there is a lot of things we can do. I'll just summarize it. Drug trafficking to be treated as a national security issue. There is a increasing need for coordination among all agencies, real-time intelligence sharing, and real-time coordination. So we have to treat this drug menace as a national security issue. Drug trafficking is connected to other organized crimes and external threats. I have already discussed that. Seamless coordination needed, international, national, public, private. Definitely the role of private sector, that is NGOs, definitely come into being. Fullest use of all powers conferred by law, controlled delivery, financial investigation, and PIT. PIT and DPS is a potent weapon for all agencies. It is preventive detention. Need for persisting efforts on capacity building on all fronts. More emphasis on public-private partnerships, social media platforms, chemical industries, and financial intermediaries. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Thanks.
Request all the participants to, they may ask any queries or they may put up their suggestions to the panel so that we conclude some of the points which have been discussed by the panel. We have got time, we have catered for 10 minutes for that question and answer session for the participants. Please go on.
The permissible legal dosage is not the problem. The issue comes when it is illegal use. It is abused.
Because what I have noticed that all of a sudden there was no stock in the market, Delhi market rules. And then I came to know that it was being used in the rave party. It used to be added in the water and they used to make ice out of it. Absolutely. And added in the alcohol. Absolutely. Totally upon it went on the market. Okay, so orally opiate is that?
Yes, it is possible.
Because
Yeah, there are various cutting agents.
So it's a cutting agent, yeah. Okay, thank you.
you know, natazapam is also very potentially used. That gives a very good kick as compared to diazepam.
And let me tell you कि इंडिया में स्ट्रीट लेवल पे सब कोकेन आता है.
हाँ.
कोकेन की मतलब 1 किलो का 10 किलो बनाने के लिए फिर ये केटामाइन डालते हैं,
हाँ हाँ.
एम्फेटामिन डालते हैं.
Right.
Yeah. That's why it is dangerous.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Natazapam ka capsules are available readily in the market. 5 mg, 10 mg.
Now in Mumbai, there is a big problem of cough syrup. There is a cocktail, cough
Right.
syrup plus nitrazepam tablet.
Right.
Mix it.
Right. Right.
Had been pointing it out to the concerned agencies, including NCB. But my feeling is we had been soft. There has been responses कि इसको तो धीरे-धीरे legal कर देंगे. Irrespective of the fact it's being used for Naxal funding. That is number one. Number two is on both borders, Pakistan as well as Bangladesh. Up to 10 kilometers of Indian territory, there is Pakistani network or Bangladeshi network. The operators in those areas, they use Pakistani SIM or Bangladeshi SIM. They are talking to each other. None of the Indian enforcement agencies have a way to intercept it. While it's very easy to block those networks, but we are not doing that. Number three is, I've seen on Pakistan border, there are 4, 5, 6 operators who are working in various cities of Pakistan. They have some handlers in Pakistan, Punjab and J&K. They send their agents to border areas of Punjab or Rajasthan. Through WhatsApp, they send the coordinates. Next day, the drone dropping is there. We have no control over WhatsApp messages, FaceTime, all kind of things. The power to monitor has not been given to state police, while 97% of seizure is being done by the state police only. But the power to monitor social media and this kind of platforms has not been given to state police. So that is what I wanted to mention here. That is the safest way.
मैम मेरा इसमें एक ऑब्जर्वेशन था
आई एम डीआईजी वेस्टर्न रेलवे। कोई हमने अमाउंट में इस ऑन जैसे हमने कोई प्रॉपर्टी को सीज किया रिलेटिंग टू ओपीएम और कैनाबिस, वी आर हैंडिंग ओवर टू एनसीबी और जीआरपी और स्टेट पुलिस। आफ्टर दैट व्हाट हैज हैपेंड, इट इज नॉट told to us कि भाई this was an international trade and this has such implications. And secondly, जो आपकी रिवार्ड की पॉलिसी है, I have never seen.
You have sent the reward proposals?
Obviously, ma'am. Number of times, and at times we feel कि this is not our work in spite of the policing on the railways. If we make some seizures and hand over to NCB, inform to state police and GRP, what has happened to that? It is never told to us.
सर आई बेग टू डिफर, क्योंकि मैं पहले साउथ में था इंचार्ज ऑफ बैंगलोर जोन, सो वहाँ पे जीआरपी को हमने काफ़ी रिवॉर्ड दिया।
नहीं, I am not talking of GRP, I am talking of the RPF.
RPF also, sir.
RPF side.
Let me finish.
Because हमारा जो jurisdiction है, it is in the interstate.
सर इट डिपेंड्स, हम लोगों ने रिवॉर्ड दिया हुआ है। It's not an issue.
The reward
नहीं,
is.
ये बहुत ही वैलिड क्वेश्चन है, बिकॉज वी आर नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ दैट, बट स्टिल जो हमारे जो पुलिसिंग चलता है इंटर स्टेट, बिकॉज आरपीएफ का जो जुडिक्शन है इज ऑल ओवर द कंट्री। लाइक आई एम बेस्ड एट कहते हैं बॉम्बे।
कोई प्रायर कंसल्टेशन या प्रायर इंफॉर्मेशन वाला एक कैच है
नहीं सर,
चलते कई बार प्रॉब्लम होती
एग्जैक्टली।
नहीं सर, ये रिवॉर्ड प्रपोजल बनता है अगर आपने एनसीबी को दिया, एनसीबी
नहीं, कहते हैं टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दिस, मैं आप लोगों को कहना चाहूँगा इसको,
Definitely, there
इट
is a
इज नॉट अ डिसीजन ऑफ सिंगल,
इट हैज़ टू बी इनकॉर्पोरेटेड बेसिकली।
ऑब्वियसली हो रहा है।
देयर आर सम गाइडेंस व्हिच आर सर्कुलेटेड।
आप किसी इंसिडेंट की बात कर रहे हैं, सो यू ब्रिंग इट टू नोटिस टू
नहीं, इसमें सेकंड पॉइंट ये है कि जो हमने सीजर किया और हैंडओवर किया, इट इज़ नेवर टोल्ड टू अस कि दिस वाज अ पार्ट ऑफ इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड और समथिंग इज एडेड। हमने हैंड किया, कहते हैं उसमें कभी इन्फॉर्म
जिसको हैंड ओवर किया है उसकी जनरल राइट को कांटेक्ट करना पड़ेगा। हम लोग करते हैं, मेरे जिसमें मैं कर रहा हूँ।
नहीं, आई एग्री विद दैट।
हो सकता है कंप्लीट आपके एंड पे ना हुई हो, इसलिए
I think I agree. I would just like to add here. बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं, कुछ formality.
जस्ट ऐड कर दो मैम, ये थ्योरेटिकली है बट प्रैक्टिकली इट इज नॉट हैपनिंग एट ऑल।
Sorry?
Practically it is not happening.
I beg to differ this.
You are based at Bombay, I am also
We
there.
have been.
I beg to differ
proposals
this.
हुए हैं और ऐसा नहीं है कि रेलवेज और कई जितनी
I
एजेंसी
beg to differ.
सबको है। हाँ।
एनसीबी इज वेरी
हाँ, समय लगता है, समय जरूर लगता है क्योंकि थोड़ी डॉक्यूमेंट्री फॉर्मेलिटीज डॉक्यूमेंटेशन
And I wish to raise something, ma'am. I am from Andhra Police. I looked after the Operation Payavatana. We have seen the excellent cooperation and guidance by NCB, none other than we were regularly mentored, monitored, and we could able to destroy more than 8,000 acres. As Mr. Amit, we were together, ma'am. Okay. And reward proposals were sent. There is a policy guideline in that. It's not like that whatever FIRs we have registered and amount seized, it cannot be straight away delivered. But state level, if it is state level, there must be a committee who has to that reward proposal. At the same time, if it is a RPF,
नहीं सर, आप लोग तो डायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व हैं। We are a part of the railways.
no, you can also, your head office also can pursue that. There is no harm in that.
नहीं, हम लोग
Maybe as
we are
state-
handing over to या तो NCB
No,
को
you
we
can-
give information to NCB.
I think that 26 pages guidelines is there. Please circulate
Yeah,
that.
it's a
ma'am.
little.
It is clear in that.
Yeah, we'll definitely circulate with you.
नहीं, excuse me.
पोर्टल पे है।
DIG sir, I would like to explain. 2017 की है रिवॉर्ड पॉलिसी, है ना? आप इसको गूगल पे भी सर्च कर सकते हैं सर। पहले बाकी एजेंसीज़ के लिए नहीं थी, पर 2017 में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस ने सारी एजेंसीज़ के लिए इसको कर दिया है। आप जब भी कोई सीजर करते हैं, हैंडओवर करते हैं, तो एक रोल प्लेट का एक कॉलम होता है, वो रोल प्लेट भी साथ में दिया करें। कई बार एजेंसीज़ हैंडओवर कर देती हैं ड्रग्स को, बट प्रॉपरली रोल प्लेट या डॉक्यूमेंटेशन पार्ट प्रॉपर नहीं हो पाता है। जनरली आप जब देंगे उसके बाद हो सकता है आपका ट्रांसफ़र हो जाए, देन एवरीवन फॉरगेट्स अबाउट इट। तो जब भी कोई सीजर आप लोग हैंडओवर करते हैं, आरपीएफ हो या बाकी और कोई पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस हो, बॉर्डर गार्डिंग फोर्सेस हो, तो उसके साथ एक प्रॉपर फॉर्मेट में उसको हैंडओवर करके एक रोल प्लेट भी भेजें साथ में, इस सीजर में किस किस रैंक के ऑफिसर ने क्या क्या रोल प्ले किया है। तो जब फाइनली जब रिवॉर्ड प्रपोजल बनेगा, उसमें रिवॉर्ड प्रपोजल के लिए 2 कंडीशंस होती हैं, कई केसेस में नहीं भी बनता है। वो कंडीशंस भी मैं बता देता हूँ कि एक तो उसकी कंप्लेंट फाइल हो उस केस की कंप्लेन फाइल हो जाए इन्वेस्टिगेशन कंप्लीट करने के बाद में। दूसरा ये है कि उसकी 52A प्रोसीडिंग्स जो प्री ट्रायल डिस्पोजल की प्रोसीडिंग्स है वो हो जानी चाहिए उसमें, और कई केसेस में आफ्टर डिस्पोजल भी देते हैं, है ना, ये चीज़ है। तो ये चीज़ अगर प्रॉपरली सारी एजेंसीज फॉलो करेंगी तो आई डोंट थिंक देयर शुड बी एन इशू ऑफ
नहीं, your point is well taken, but theoretically
Sir, now I will request, please, we should wind up for this panelist because next panel is already we are running short of time, sir. We can have.
कमीशन है सर, एक पैरेलल मैं ड्रॉ करना चाहूँगा। जैसे हम वेपन के ऊपर सभी लॉ इन्फोर्समेंट एजेंसी ध्यान करती है, अगर कंट्री मेड पिस्टल मिलती है तो उसकी अटेंशन अलग रहती है। अगर एक ऑटोमेटिक पिस्टल मिल जाती है तो उसके ऊपर अटेंशन अलग रहती है। बाई चांस अगर AK-47 मिल जाती है तो उस पर स्पेशल फोर्सेस की, सेंट्रल एजेंसीज की, सबकी आ जाती है। जैसे अभी डिस्कशन से भी पता चलता है और हम लोग अपने एक्सपीरियंस से भी देखते हैं, ये सारी चीज़ें ड्रग्स में भी है। उस ड्रग्स हैं जो बहुत कम हार्मफुल हैं और ट्रेडिशनली यूज़ की जाती है सोसाइटी के द्वारा, उतनी वो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के लिए भी चैलेंजिंग नहीं है। तो क्यों ना हम ऐसी प्रायोरिटाइज इसमें भी ये हो जाए कि अगर सिंपल चीज़ पकड़ी जा रही है तो वो उसका लोकल पुलिस या लोकल पुलिस स्टेशन उसको हैंडल कर ले। लेकिन अगर वो सीरियस, जैसे आज सर ने भी बताया, डॉक्टर साहब ने बताया कि कुछ जितने भी ये सिंथेटिक ड्रग आ रही हैं आगे कितना चैलेंजिंग होगी, तो उसी रेशियो में उनके ऊपर अटेंशन, फोकस स्पेशल एजेंसीज़ का, सेंट्रल का, सबका उसी प्रपोर्शन में बढ़ता चला जाए। अभी इस टाइप की कोई मैकेनिज्म नहीं है। वो कई बार बहुत जो बहुत थ्रेटनिंग चीज़ है वो भी ऐसे ही भुला दी जाती है, और कभी कभी बहुत छोटी चीज़ पर अटेंशन बहुत बड़े लेवल पर चली जाती है। तो ये मेरे ख्याल से एनसीबी इसमें एक इनिशिएटिव ले सकती है।
इसी के लिए ही एग्जैक्टली जो मैंने बात की थी वो इनकॉर्ड मैकेनिज्म है। वो एक नार्को कोऑर्डिनेशन मीटिंग होती है जो कि मैंने बताया हाईएस्ट लेवल पे होती है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे हर महीने होनी है और स्टेट लेवल पे 3 मंथ्स में होनी है। ये एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ पर इस तरह के मुद्दे डिस्कस किए जाते हैं। इसके जो टर्म्स ऑफ रेफरेंस है एनकॉर्ड के, उसमें इस तरह के मुद्दों को जो आप बोल रहे हैं वो रेज किया जाता है। तो देयर आप आई मीन नेक्स्ट वेदर इट इज़ अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल मीटिंग और स्टेट लेवल मीटिंग, प्लीज़ इसको आप अटेंड करें एंड मे बी यू कैन पुट अप योर पॉइंट देयर एट अ लोकल लेवल। इट वुड बी डेफिनेटली बेटर एबल टू कोऑर्डिनेट। So that mechanism is in place and that is precisely the reason कि ANTF का constitution किया जा रहा है और इतना emphasis दिया जा रहा है कि हर स्टेट में एक ANTF हो और वो यूनिफॉर्म हो across India. So I think we are moving towards it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Right, ma'am.
Tobacco is more detrimental than marijuana. One is banned, the other is not. Your comment, please.
No, it's not
Tobacco
narcotic,
is not under
but we do consider these such kind of tobacco, alcohol as gateway drugs.
Right.
तो उनका भी सेवन नहीं करना चाहिए।
Right.
West Government of India.
Now, gentlemen, yes.
Tobacco is not part of it.
Even marijuana.
Marijuana is
है ना, तो वही तो मैं पूछ रहा हूँ मैम कि उसमें बोलते हैं 400 केमिकल्स है, तो इट इज बैंड ड्रग, the other is not banned.
नार्कोटिक्स वाले लिस्ट में
नहीं, I mean, as far as NDPS as sir is saying, we do that, मतलब उन्हीं का ड्रग्स है, बाकी tobacco, alcohol ये नहीं है उसमें।
Sir, there are very
There are
interesting
cautions.
topics which are going to come forward.
Alcohol भी नहीं है सर, वो भी but these are gateway drugs and we always जब भी awareness programs होते हैं कि इनसे दूरी रहा जाए because one who is more prone
Right.
to trying other narcotic drugs.
Okay.
Right, thank you very much to all of you. Now, I'll request for this panel, I'll request Director CAPT, sir, to present books to the panel, those who have delivered on this topic, sir. Ms. Monica Assis Batra, Deputy Director General, Narcotic Control Bureau. Mr. Marco Taxerio, Representative, UNODC. DIG Aniket Singh, Indian Coastal Guard. Commandant Sandeep Safia, Indian Coastal Guard. and Sri Amit Gaute, IRS, Journal Director, NCB, Mumbai. Now I'll request next panelist of moderator being Sri Jayant Mishra, and the participants are speakers are Sri Rakesh Chandra Sukla, Journal Director, NCB, Kolkata, and Sanjay Kumar, IRS, Deputy Narcotic Commissioner, DMH, to come on the floor for presenting their speech. Thank you. I'll request please settle down. The seats you are seeing, the vacant seats are on the vacant seats.
लंच टाइम नहीं है क्या तो लंच टाइम ही होने वाला है लंच टाइम ही सर ये करेंगे तो घंटा तो लगेगा अभी 2 बजे
Mr. Sir, I request we are having 30 minutes with us. Mr. Sir, I request that we are having only 30 minutes with us, so please control your panel in that way so that we finish 30 minutes.
30 minutes में करने वाले
Can you give me the changing remote?
सर सर ये तो रहता
See, this panel is very easy
है ये मिस्टर जयंत
because this is a new area, and in the morning session also while inaugurating, a serious concern was expressed by the Director General of NCB about the synthetic drugs. Synthetic drugs emanates from the desire of the human being to find out, to explore the possibility of some chemical which can give extraordinary powers or experiences. In the ancient times, Somras, Charak, from that point till in all the civilizations, chemical compositions have been researched, they have been done also, and chemistry has come a long way. Well, it was known as alchemy, and then alchemy gradually, it was exactly in 1661 that definition of chemistry was given by Robert Boyle. Robert Boyle was followed by Cavendish and others, and they were parallel to Newton in physics or mathematics. They were great scholars in themselves. They led to the discovery of atoms, and that led to later the discovery of what is known as nuclear physics today and quantum mechanics. So chemistry has been a very widely researched field. Nobel Prize in chemistry is being given since 1895, since its inception. There are large number of Nobel laureates. In fact, there are Linus Pauling, you must have heard the name. Linus Pauling got the Nobel Prize twice in his life. Marie Curie got the Nobel Prize twice. And United Nations also celebrated 2011 as the year of chemistry. That is the background of chemistry. Huge number of chemistry branches are there. Analytical chemistry, physical chemistry, inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry. This we have all studied in our school days. In addition to it, there is biological chemistry, material chemistry, nuclear chemistry, neurochemistry, polymer chemistry, synthetic chemistry. There are hundreds of branches which are there. 2020 Nobel Prize was given to Jennifer Doudna for the CRISPR program, which is said that led to the evolution of what is known as COVID-19, the Wuhan lab, the CRISPR program. There is a very wonderful book, The CRISPR People, which you all can study. You can find, it's very interestingly written. The Genome People, the CRISPR People, these are the 2-3 studies. One of them has been written by Jennifer Doudna herself, who got the Nobel Prize for 2020.
knowing the branches of chemistry, synthetic chemistry, where the synthetic drug emanates, I would also like to mention the latest name in 2022 Nobel Prize for Chemistry was given to Caroline Bartolozzi. Caroline Bartolozzi, 2022 Nobel Prize. Now, this Nobel Prize was given for a branch of chemistry which I am sure most of us have not heard, and that was given for bioorthogonal chemistry. This is bioorthogonal chemistry, which is a new branch, and there are wonderful publications which have come out. So therefore, all these branches of chemistry have been discovered, evolved, and studied to make the humanity more and more comfortable, long-lasting. Efforts are being made to create life in test tube, and more than life in test tube, the latest researches are going on creating consciousness in the test tube. Can you create a consciousness, or whether consciousness can be created or it is an emergent factor, emergent event? That is what is being studied. Now, out of this good things which are happening, parallel, the dark world is also taking place. The same food, which is good for life, provides us livelihood, provides and sustains the life. The same food, if taken wrongly, can also become poison. And therefore, the same knowledge which is trying to give eternity to humanity is being used to provide such pleasures to humanity which are detrimental and harmful. And this is the background in which synthetic drugs have come out. Now, over the last decade, the world is witnessing alarming new drug problem resulting in large hospital emergency and fatalities, and it has become a global public concern. It affects not only individual users, but also their families and communities. And these new drugs are not illegal. That is the basic thing. These new drugs are fully legal, marketed as legal high, herbal high. These are the words used. Research chemicals, smart drugs, bath salts, these are the names given, and these are collectively called as NPS, or new psychoactive substances. NPS are growing at an alarming rate, causing a threat to the public health and safety, and these NPS often mimic the effect of substance that is under drug control, international or otherwise. They mimic. They are not original, but they give a feeling, a high experience of the original drug, mainly synthetic cannabinoids, stimulants, hallucinogens, and opioids, designed to evade drug laws and have the potential to pose a significant health threat to public. Some of you must have seen the movies in Netflix, the Senora, Acero, and Narco is very old now. That doesn't talk about synthetic drugs. But the latest ones which are coming on the Colombian drug cartels have been marketing drugs like XY4, X6. These are the drugs which I'll come later and share, which have been found in India and most of us are not aware. Now, slight alteration in the chemical structure of existing illegal substances, these NPS circumvent existing control. Most NPS are manufactured in Asian countries. Most products are sold via internet or smart shops, and dangers associated with use resulting in cardiotoxicity, respiratory depression, and accidental injury. Now, quickly, I'll go through the classes of NPS. These are the classes of NPS, which are sedatives, dissociatives, hallucinogens, stimulants, cannabinoids, and opioids. And NPS, it has been mentioned in the UN ODC early warning advisory that they have global phenomenon posing a significant threat to public health and challenge to drug policy. 132 countries and territories from all over the regions and world have reported NPS cases, and there are till recent 1,127 new psychoactive substances. Market is in a state of constant influx, and added to the new substances are added to the pool. This is the NPS at global level, and substance use disorders, how they are detected is something very interesting. Substance use disorders, see these NPS or these new psychoactive substances, they come to the market. A young boy or girl will go to a party in Bombay and there will be given a new pill. This is a new thing which has come in the market. Would you like to take it? They would say, if it is a newcomer, they say, no, I don't take. I would like to have some wine or something. No, try this. This will be very interesting and you will be knocked off for 48 hours. You will not smell also. Nobody can make out. And it is ecstasy. The name is ecstasy. Yet it is some new substance or polydrug which is not ecstasy. That is something important. Because ecstasy compositions are known in the world of law enforcement agencies. Now, therefore, in clinical settings, when the patient starts getting harm, he will come for the treatment. I have been not getting proper sleep. I am having loss of appetite. I find living difficult. I find this, I find that. And the doctor will be treating symptomatically, not for the drug. Gradually, when the weight loss will be there, more problems will be there. At some stage, doctor would ask, what are you taking? By the way, are you taking? No, I take some medicine, something. One pill is there which I occasionally take. I don't take always. Then if the doctor is smart enough, would ask, what is that pill? Will send it for the testing and will send it, try to find out from the biological sample, that is urine or blood of the patient, as to what it is exactly. And that is where it is detected. And if the doctor is smart enough, he would report it to the National Drug Dependence Treatment Center. NDTTC in turn will report to WHO, through that to UNODC, then to CND, then to ECOSOC, and then it will go to the UN General Assembly, where then a legislation in the country will ban it. How long will it be taking? It takes normal slack time, and therefore efforts are being made to reduce this time. Normal slack time is 2 to 3 years, even if we move at a very, very lightning speed. Now, this is what the NPS issue is. In India, there is no study. There was no study of NPS so far. Only recently a study was launched with our UNODC was also very instrumental in pushing that this kind of research should take place. Reference has been made to the substance abuse report of 2019, but this is more important because this is something which is the dark world of substance abuse. This study has been taken from the clinical side, where 1,460 samples were tested. Analytics was done. The report is still to be under submission. It will come out and a larger sample will be tested, and the kind of drugs which have been found in the Indian patients, I am just naming them. You tell me, first is methamphetamine, you have heard. Now you tell me if you have heard these names or not. AB, Shimanaka, AB, Pinaka, JWH 018, UR 144, PNP 1, PNP is phenylpiperazine 1, phenylpiperazine 2, then benzyl piperazine, cathinone, kappa opioid receptor agonist, fentanyl acetyl, OC fentanyl, furanyl fentanyl, carfentanil of course is known. Fentanyl of course is known, but these analogs of fentanyl have neither been found by the law enforcement agencies, nor detected, nor even by the medical community, because efforts have not, and these are prevalent in the market. Etizolam, mitragynine, AH7921, U47700, it sounds like some coordinate of longitude, latitude for a drone landing, but yes, these are the drugs, and this is the commercial name. MT45, W19 and W15. Now, therefore, it becomes extremely difficult toxicologically to do. This chart I wanted to show you particularly to to show the gaps in this chart, because this is the areas where the NPS prevalence has been found. You will see that the new psychoactive substances are discovered and found out in most developing countries like United States, Canada, and in the Nordic countries, where the violet round is big. That is where, which is 400 to 450 kind of NPS are prevalent. Researches are done there, and the marketing impact is where the market is, and Indian market is, morning it was mentioned, 2 crores. Generic estimates are around 5 to 7 crores. Occasional takers are there, and therefore it's India is a huge market. I will be very happy to understand if any estimates about the market also can be done. We will support if NCB or anybody wants to take up this research. Short of resources, we are not able to do, but we'll be very happy to support this kind of a research. Now, just it is should move. Toxicology I have already mentioned, and then other difficulty. This toxicology is a technical thing which one need not. Next slide, please. Gaps in the knowledge are there, that they are sold as a mixture of several drugs, polydrugs, and therefore it becomes difficult to detect them. They are cut, as the word has been used. Untargeted drug screening is required. Lack of clarity on license possession, this is for CBN, can take a note of it. Lack of clarity on license for possession of reference drug standards in laboratories is something which is important. No government mandated screening and confirmation cutoffs for any biological matrix is there, despite the, I think AIMS is also present here, despite the prevalence of NPS. There are certain recommendations for the way forward, which I am not, these are all a part of the slide which are there, which can be debated, taken up, whichever is benefiting scientific studies, mostly it says. And most important is in the last, that is research is required to improve our understanding of the drug metabolite profile in clinical and forensic toxicology. Identifying these substances will bring more scientific data together. This would help in protect the human health, and laboratory plays an important role in assessment of clinical management of patients with these drug problems. More important than that is that our law enforcement agencies, elite law enforcement agencies which are present here today, should be aware of it. I can discuss in detail, but I thought I'll just give an exposure. Perhaps there can be a special session where NPS can be discussed in more detail. With these words, I concluded because of the paucity of time. The next panelist, Rakesh, your topic is something different, so therefore, I've been asked to moderate. Anyway, I'll moderate. Any questions can be asked later, but we'll pass on to the next presentation.
From the synthetic drug, we are just moving to the illicit cultivation of cannabis and opium and its implication on the national security. As we have seen, we will just discuss the illicit cultivation. Major illicit crops is the opium poppy, cannabis, and coca. Coca is not in India, but in the American and African countries. But opium poppy, you can, as you can see, it is cultivated in the India. It means the plant of a species and cultivated licitly and illicitly both in India. It grows mainly in countries around the world with the moderate climates. It has the white to red flowers and round to elongated capsules containing the seeds, which can range in colors from white to dark violet. Annual planting season is from September to October and harvesting in the January to February. In India, illicit cultivation reported in the Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Manipur, and Arunachal Pradesh. Similarly, cannabis is the genus of flowering plant in the family Cannabis. Main content is the tetrahydrocannabinol, and mostly grown in the Central and South Asia. And illicit cultivation reported in the Odisha, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, West Bengal, Manipur, Tripura, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Telangana in India. These are suspected states which I have already covered. These are the, you can see the states affected in the pictorial form. These are the, you can see the destruction data from 2019 to 2022, which has been reported to the NCB in the form of. In this, we can see the poppy destruction as maximum in the Arunachal Pradesh, Bihar, Manipur, and some short in the Jammu Kashmir and Jharkhand. And cannabis destruction data, which has been reported, major state is the Odisha, Himachal Pradesh, JNK, Andhra Pradesh, even Manipur. Tripura's report is not here, but Tripura is the major state. This is the destruction of illicit cultivation of cannabis and poppy by all the drug law enforcement agencies in India. This is the cumulative figure in the acres. Regarding the cultivation, there is a government of certain provisions in the NDPS Act as well as the Government of India's policy, like the Section 8, which prohibits the cultivation. Similarly, Section 16 of NDPS clearly talks about the punishment, even 18 for the opium poppy and opium cultivation. And if we, in the opium cultivation, punishment can go up to the 20 years. Regarding the cannabis cultivation, Section 20, here the rigorous punishment can go up to 10 years. And in this, to prevent the illicit cultivation, there is a Section 44, Section 46, 47, 48 of the NDPS Act, which gives the powers to the various drug law enforcement agencies to contain and control the illicit cultivation. There is a national policy on the NDPS by the Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance, which has been released in 2012, which clearly spells out the policy of the Government of India towards the narcotic, drug and psychotic substances, which serves as a guide to the various ministries and organizations, which reasserts India's commitment to the combat the drug menace in a holistic manner. As per the national policy with respect to the action related to the identification and destruction of the illicit opium and cannabis crops, the task has been assigned to the various agencies, including satellite survey of the suspected area, Central Economic Intelligence Bureau coordinates with the ADRIN, and the satellite imagery is brought out, and it always circulated to the concerned states. And from the central government side, the NCB, CBN, and from the state government side, the state police, and in many of the states, a specialized agency has been created. In the most of the states, the state excise officers are part of this. Instances of illegal cultivation of opium, poppy, and cannabis have been noticed in India that we have already discussed in our previous slides, and where the central and state government will work together to combat the issues, and direction will be issued to the all officers to discharge their responsibilities under the Section 47 of the NDPS Act. This 47 section of the NDPS clearly talks about the responsibility of the various officers to inform the drug law enforcement agency about the illicit cultivation in their area. For example, like in the forest department, or in the forest land or revenue land, or in the panchayat, on these areas only the illicit cultivation can grow. So the forest officials, revenue officials, even the panchayat officials are supposed to give the information to the concerned drug law enforcement agencies or local police. And the NCB and CBN and concerned state governments shall also prosecute the official under their respective control who violates the Section 47 of the NDPS Act. And regarding the section 47 of the NDPS Act, I would like to here just ascertain that in this we can take the preventive measures and issue the notices to these officials in advance that they should inform. Like in the overall responsibility of tackling the problem of illicit cultivation shall lie with the central government, where the CIB and ADRIN provides the satellite survey, and NCB, CBN and state authorities will work together for the destruction of illicit cultivation. The NCB, CBN, the responsibility of collecting the field intelligence and destroying the illegal cultivation and arresting and prosecuting the offenders shall lie primarily with the state governments and other drug law enforcement agency if they found so. Now we'll talk about the implication on the national security. If you can see this, that trafficking, our previous speakers also clearly talked about the problem of the drug menace and the international ramifications. The trafficking of the heroin across the Indo-Pakistan border, hashish trafficking from Nepal to India across the land border, heroin and amphetamine trafficking from Myanmar to India, smuggling of the heroin and codeine-based cup syrup to Bangladesh, trafficking of the heroin from India to Sri Lanka, large number of the composite seizure of the drug and arms and ammunition, FICN and RDX, pointing to the nexus between the drug traffickers and anti-national elements. These are the length of the international border with of the India and guarded by the various agencies. If you see the cross-border implication on the national security, for the last 3 to 4 decades, India has become a transit hub as well as the destination for the heroin and hashish as well as the amphetamine. We are also aware that the largest producer of the heroin and hashish, the Golden Triangle and Golden Crescent, are very near to our borders. The illegal follow of these drugs, mainly opium and heroin, not only violates the India's border, but also poses a significant threat to the national security. The nexus between the drug trafficker, organized criminals, and terrorists has created a force powerful enough to cause instability in the country. And money generated through the drug trade has also been used to fund the various insurgents and terrorist movements in the country, not only in the India and in all over the world also. For instance, it has been estimated that money generated from the illegal sale of the narcotics accounted for the 15% of the finance of the militant group in JNK. Similarly, the Sikh militant group in Punjab and Northeast insurgent groups like the NSCN are also known to channelizing the drug into India to finance their operations. As regard to the India, depending upon the nature of the borders and its effect, we can border-wise effect we can discuss, like the Indo-Pakistan border, mostly heroin and hashish production made from the illicit cultivation of opium, cannabis, rooted in the Golden Crescent region, are trafficked into India through the borders of the state of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab and JNK. Trafficking of heroin along Indo-Pakistan border is largely carried out by the area of the cartels suspected to be the D Company, Nigerians, the Afghan and Kenyan syndicates who work in the conjunction with each other. Indo-Nepal border and Indo-Bhutan border mainly concentrate on the gaja and hashish are the two cannabis derivatives that have been trafficked from the Nepal into India and Bhutan into India. Recently, the share of the gaja of Nepal origin and Bhutan origin in the Indian drug market has reduced, the demand for the gaja in India now being met through the local production, especially in the northeastern state like the Manipur, Tripura and other states like Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. Udalguri in the Darang district of the Assam is an important center of for collection and distribution of cannabis. Gaja is smuggled from the Bhutan, and the connivance of local Bodo militants is always well known and resurfaced. Myanmar in the Golden Triangle remains the main producer of illicit opium, approximately 95% of production in the region, while the bulk of the heroin, 80 to 85% produced in the region, is transported to the international market through the Myanmar-Thailand route. But a small quantity enters through the open India-Myanmar border. Recent trend of the seizure of the gaja, apart from the pharmaceutical drug, it seems that in the border area indicates a growing trend of gaja trafficking from India to Bangladesh. besides Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh, former traffickers in the Tripura has also started the cultivation, which is from last one day. It may be noted here that the Single Convention of 1961 recognizes the India as the licit producer or of the opium and the only producer of the opium for the medicinal and scientific purposes. Licitly, it is cultivated in the Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Otherwise, the illicit cultivation we have already seen in our previous slides. Here we would like to just differentiate the how this is affecting the drug traffickers are a little different from the terrorists. As the terrorist groups are usually ideologically or politically motivated, while the organized crime groups are profit oriented, that we can see in the drug trafficking. The terrorist group often wish to compete with the governments for legitimacy, where the organized crime has only the one motive, that is the profit. Terrorist group usually seek media attention. Organized group like to be in hidden arena. So drug trafficker benefits from the terrorist military skill and obtain protection for the illicit cultivation of the opium cannabis or trafficking in the area under the guerrilla terrorist control. As we have seen during the states affected from the insurgency or militancy, like the JNK, some part of the Odisha and Jharkhand or even Manipur, we find that these drug traffickers or cultivators find a what you call solace with them, or they in the return to the money to them, they give they support, they means militants support them. Like that directly in our lot of in our seizures and all, directly linkage we have not found so far, but during our destruction operations, we have clearly seen, especially in the Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, and especially the insurgents and militants are supporting the illicit cultivation. Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan's involvement in the narco-terrorism threat, national threat, dates back to the era of the Soviet intervention in Afghanistan, and President Zia's involvement in narcotic trade towards the funding in Kashmir jihad, even after, which is continued even if after his death. Even in one of the very famous statement of 1994, when Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has clearly given a statement that DG of the ISI has sought official permission from him to fund the court military operation and the drug trafficking. Similarly, in the Naxal left-wing extremism, as we see the illicit cultivation in Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Tripura, JNK, and Manipur, especially in Manipur, JNK, and some Arunachal Pradesh and Jharkhand, militants or insurgents are supporting it. Some part of these states are affected with the left-wing extremism and insurgency. As I already have said, though no specific case has been reported indicating the direct involvement of these groups in the illicit cultivation of opium or cannabis, but the possibility of such groups benefiting from the proceeds of the illicit cultivation cannot be ruled out, and they are benefiting. Now, the preventive action what the government is taking are that we can see we have got the legal framework, NDPS Act, Custom Act, Money Laundering Act. Specialized agencies at the central level and the state authorities are working. Action against the money laundering by the tracking and freezing of the payments, assets, etc. under the acts. Coordination between the various sister agencies for the destruction of the illicit opium or cannabis cultivation is already underway, and there is as Madam has already given her initial remark, that during our NCORD mechanism, which is a 4-tier starting from the apex level to the district levels, this is one of the issues which is always discussed. As we have seen, satellite imagery is being provided by ADRIN through CIB, by NCB, CBN to the state authorities. And there is till recently there has been a fund, NFCDA, National Fund for the Control of Drug Abuse for the support in the illicit cultivation for the states. Other charges in other head. These are the objectives of the NFCDA, which clearly talks about the destruction operations. These are the certain problems.
Sorry for interference, sir. I request you to please wind up it in.
Yes. We have got only
Because the next panel is also sitting.
So these are the problems faced by the various agencies during their operations of illicit destruction of illicit cultivation, non-availability of the local laborers, difficulty in burning crops, difficulty to reach the, because most of the areas are normally very remote. They are the hilly areas or the border areas or remote areas. So these are the difficulties the agencies are facing. Now we have these as some way ahead we have just proposed. This is for the thought and consumption for all the agencies. We are finding the officers from all the states. So preventive action against the pre-illicit cultivation we can take. Those states are affected. They can take action pre-illicit cultivation, means before the illicit cultivation the farmer needs the seeds, water resources, as well as the fertilizers and all. So even the machinery for that, so that part can be already surveyed, and its its marketing can be controlled. Enhancing the role of forest department, as we have said in the previous section, the extensive use of section 47 of the NDPS Act can be done by all the drug law enforcement agencies. Like the notice can be issued to the local level officer of the forest department and revenue officials as well as the panchayat officials, that they should give the information of illicit cultivation to the concerned drug law enforcement agencies and local thanas. And comprehensive coordination action is required. And here I will just suggest that extensive use of border guarding forces and CAPF can also be done. Thank you so much.
Sanjay, can you start? Because
yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Presentation.
एनडीपीएस कन्वेक्शन रेट कितना? ज़्यादा than 5% होगा। एनडीपीएस एक्ट में
क्या
कन्वेक्शन इज वेरी लो, ना 3 to 4%.
या गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन. मेरे पास कम समय बचा है. मेरा प्रेजेंटेशन मैंने इट्स ऑफ लेस थ्योरेटिकल एंड मोर ऑफ अ प्रैक्टिकल प्रेजेंटेशन. I have included more photographs and videos of the cases and the destruction operations which we have done. So basically जो लोग नॉर्थ ईस्ट से नहीं हैं, जो ऐसे स्टेट से बिलोंग नहीं करते जहाँ नहीं है, तो उन्हीं के बेनिफिट के लिए मैं वो पिक्चर्स और वीडियोस इसमें काफ़ी डाले हैं मैंने. So I'll start my presentation. So now India, the current drug scenario which our country is facing, basically India is geographically located in a bad neighborhood. Okay, it is sandwiched between golden triangle and golden crescent areas. जैसे पहले बता चुके हैं, हमारे ज़्यादातर नेबर्स या तो पॉलिटिकली या इकोनॉमिकली अनस्टेबल हैं. एंड प्रेजेंट डे में ड्रग्स आर pouring in from every neighboring country of India. And with economic rise, drug use has also increased exponentially, especially among the youth. एक आजकल cool factor आ गया है ड्रग्स लेना. So and other than this, many states have large areas under illicit cultivation of opium and ganja. This topic I'll be covering in my presentation. Then there are clandestine labs have also come up in different parts of the country. Diversion of opium and poppy straw from illicit cultivation areas of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and UP. Diversion of pharmaceutical drugs and their abuse has also increased substantially. Use of internet pharmacies, couriers, social medias, darknet, cryptocurrencies, digital wallets for procurement of drugs has seen massive increase, especially after COVID-19. So now to our main topic, illicit cultivation of opium and ganja in India. So illicit cultivation in different parts of India has grown by many folds. There have been reports of illicit cultivation of cannabis and opium from many states like West Bengal, J&K, Himachal, Arunachal, Manipur, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, Andhra, Chhattisgarh, etc. The growth of illicit cultivation has to be checked under any circumstances. Otherwise, it will lead to a threat to our national security. So CBN, Central Bureau of Narcotics, is having expertise in this field and has conducted destruction operations in many states like West Bengal, J&K, Arunachal, Manipur, Uttarakhand, etc., resulting in destruction of more than 25,000 hectares of illicit cultivation of opium and cannabis over the years. In this year alone, CBN has conducted 2 major destruction operations, one in Arunachal Pradesh of 3615 hectares of illicit opium and another in Himachal Pradesh of 1132 hectares of illicit cannabis, ganja. So these are the state's areas of illicit cultivation. So now I'll tell you in detail about our Operation Vajra Shakti, which was conducted in the state of Arunachal Pradesh and in which 3615 hectares of illicit poppy cultivation was destroyed. So specific and credible intelligence was received by CBN from the sources in Northeast about illicit cultivation of poppy, and then this operation was launched. Team of officers of CBN were deployed in Lohit and Namsai districts of Arunachal Pradesh to confirm the intelligence and to conduct the surveys and destruction of the illicit opium cultivation in the suspected areas. Security cover was provided by CRPF, IRBN and the state police officers. Emphasis was laid on the use of technology to conduct surveys, that is drone and GPS, apart from the process of physical survey. During the process of physical and drone survey in Lohit and Namsai districts, huge illicit opium poppy cultivation areas were found. There were islands in Brahmaputra river which were completely under cultivation of illicit opium, and by the use of drones for the first time we identified newer areas other than traditional areas also. After completion of the survey work, CBN officers along with the local administration carried out destruction work of illicit opium plant without any fear during the period from 25th February to 8th March under hostile conditions, stiff resistance and blockades by the local population, often armed by their traditional weapons like dao. The destruction carried out was in areas affected by underground terrorist groups. The team conducted the operation in forest areas at the risk of their life. The officers also faced hostile local population. Trees were cut down to prevent officers from reaching the sites of illicit cultivations. Tire killers were placed along the roadsides to puncture the tires of the vehicles carrying officers. Harsh weather conditions also could not demoralize the enthusiasm of the team. The officers crossed several rivers and streams, often on foot, to reach the inaccessible illicit cultivation sites. The total area destroyed was 3615 hectares. So this video, the videos which I am about to show you, they have not been shown before. Can we start the video, please? No. No, previous one. अरे क्या कर रहे हो भाई?
VLCC में होगा ना फोटो और सिर्फ
Restart the presentation, please.
प्लगइन नहीं होगा
सर चेक किया है, इट वाज वर्किंग. स्टार्ट करिए ना इसको.
VLCC इसमें नहीं होगा सपोर्ट का, इसका मीडिया सपोर्ट.
प्लीज स्टार्ट द पावर पॉइंट. स्लाइड शो स्टार्ट करिए. व्हाट इज रॉन्ग विद दिस पर्सन? No, I have to show the videos.
Again, formula.
Sir, can I connect my laptop, sir?
You can.
Sir, thank you, sir.
यहाँ से बैठे बैठे भी कर सकते हो।
सर मेरा नहीं किया होगा।
नहीं किया है सर।
कराओ, यही बैठे बैठे कर लोगे।
वो लिंक इसी वो लिंक दिखाता है ना,
लिंक शो नहीं किया ना उसमें।
लिंक कैसे चलेगा, ऐसे थोड़ी होता, फोटो से वीडियो से चलेगा। शोइंग फ्रॉम हिज लैपटॉप
सर उसमें तो है ना, जो हमारे लैपटॉप में चलेगा इनके में नहीं चलेगा, VLC मीडिया नहीं होगा।
अभी तो उसमें लिंक ही नहीं दिखा।
हाँ लिंक नहीं है ना,
लिंक नहीं, कॉपी ही नहीं है।
वो लिंक आ जाता है तो एक नया सिस्टम चला है उसके बगैर।
आप अपने मोबाइल से कर सकते हैं बैठे बैठे। आवाज करो।
सर इसमें आवाज नहीं है सर। इट्स अ ड्रोन फुटेज।
Hello. So, these are from the jungles of Arunachal Pradesh. And I actually wanted to show these videos so that we can be all aware what is the extent of illicit cultivation. This is a reserve forest. And entire forest has been cut down and illicit opium has been grown.
And the original image you got from the ISRO?
No sir, we have done it.
अच्छा, but कहाँ से वो location?
Sir, we have a human
अच्छा ठीक है।
performer sir. So then we sent our team, and I was there sir at this site, sir.
The entire grass-like structure which is seen, this is all illicit opium. Namsa in Lohit district, 2 districts.
सैटेलाइट इमेजेस भी तो इनको 6 महीने में एक बार देता होगा।
Now the drone will come down.
सैटेलाइट
And you can see people running also.
जो सैटेलाइट इमेजेस देता होगा 6 महीने में एक बार या साल में एक बार।
You can see the flowers, different colors. And the situation is so bad that this landscape continues till the horizon. I've never seen such big patches of illicit opium in my entire career. It's all continuous. So you can see people running there. These are the temporary structures which they built to. There you can see. Thank you. So now this was the cultivation part which we saw.
Okay.
So this was the illicit cultivation part. This is the first part. Now I am going to tell you the second part. Now what is happening is now a reverse trend has started. Opium from northeast is coming to down to states like Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana. So earlier it used to be traffic from the illicit opium growing areas in the states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and UP. But now reverse trend has started. So this is one of a case, seizure of 38 kgs of opium. This we had done in the month of April, and the opium was concealed in a specially built cavity in the cabin of the truck. And this was intercepted at Kishangarh in Rajasthan. And this had come from northeast. So we opened up the cavity in the driver's cabin, and you can see the concealed opium. Now this is a very recent seizure of 272 kgs of opium, and in the month of November, on specific intelligence, we had intercepted one truck near Jaipur, and during the interception, the truck driver had rammed the truck into our government's vehicle. Also, you can see the picture. He tried to escape, but it was successfully intercepted. And from the special cavity built inside that trawler of the truck, we recovered this contract. In the follow-up operation, 135 kgs of opium was seized from Barabanki, Uttar Pradesh, and this truck was also coming from northeast. And here a different type of cavity was there. This cavity was located between the tires in the underneath side of the trawler of the.
Sir, if you can be brief about this part, sir, because we have, if you can be brief about this part, because sir, already time we are over. Please, sir, try to do it.
So then in another follow-up operation, we intercepted one truck in Hisar, Haryana, and in this also the opium was concealed in the front side of the. So now I'm going to tell you about our Himachal operation which we conducted, and we destroyed 1032 hectares of illicit ganja. Based on specific inputs, we did this operation in Kasol and that Malana area of Himachal, which is very famous for this thing. During this operation, a two-pronged approach was adopted by CBN, that is creating awareness among villagers along with enforcement. So community mobilization was adopted by sensitizing villagers about the adverse effects of drugs on body and mind, threats that which pose to the future of youth and children was also explained. Relevant penal provisions of NDPS Act were explained to the village pradhans and members, consequent to which the resolutions were passed by the villagers to destroy illicit ganja plantations around villages. Villagers assisted officers of CBN to destroy illicit cultivation by actively taking part in exercise under supervision of CBN officers. Labor availability was a problem, but it failed to deter the grit and determination of CBN officers. Responding to action and conducted destruction operations of hostile terrain with steep slopes and drains. The officers climbed daily up to 11,000 feet above sea level and even camped in sensitive areas to expedite the destruction process. GPS coordinates and drones were also used for further detection and surveillance.
Sir, now we are running short of time, sir. If you can finish it off within 2 minutes, otherwise, sir.
So now, these are some of the seizures which we have made. Cannabis seizures in cavities of the trucks. So now the implications, basically I'll take one more minute. 1 minute.
Do it faster.
So majority of the areas affected by illicit drug crop cultivation are also areas affected by extremist movements. The presence of extremist movements and illicit cultivation drugs are directly proportional. The involvement of various extremist terrorist groups and syndicates leads to the threat to national security and sovereignty by the way of narco-terrorism. The extremist groups protect the illicit cultivated drug crops and collect protection money from the drug peddlers in lieu of safe passage of drug consignments to their territory. The money generated by illegal sale of narcotics and drugs is used for financing terror activities, and the extremist groups have used drug money to finance their so-called struggle against Indian side. So large-scale availability of narcotics and drugs encourages demand for narcotics and drugs by domestic population, consumption of which produces dysfunctional behavior, thereby creating law and order problems in the society. It also causes huge economic drain on the country through loss of production and diversion of resources for caring and rehabilitation of drug addicts. Youth, once addicted to drugs, becomes more vulnerable towards committing crimes for small amounts of money to buy drugs. It is considered to be an originator of petty offences as well as heinous crimes like smuggling of arms and ammunition and money laundering. Threat to the nation as it involves usage and generation of black money.
Now, sir, please, finish it off, sir. Reason being, now it's the time for a question and answer. If any prominent question is there from the side of participant, he can go ahead with. Otherwise, we are again assembling after lunch. You can have the question at that time also because speakers will sit over here. Right then, again for this panelist, I will request Director sir to please put books to them. Sri Jayant Mishra, Consultant at United Nations Officer on Drugs and Crime, Regional Office South Asia. Sri Rakesh Chandra Shukla, Journal Director, NCB, Kolkata. And Sri Sanjay Kumar, Indian Revenue Services, Deputy Narcotic Commissioner, Nimaj. Now I will request all the officers to please break off for the lunch, and thereafter after 1 hour, correct, because already we have suited half an hour here. So yes sir.
हेमंत बैग छोड़ दे यहीं पे
मैं तो चाहता था आप सब लोग वॉक करो, लेकिन समय चूंकि खराब मतलब कम बचा है तो नीचे बस लगी हुई हैं, प्लीज़